Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Solid in Short. In this episode, I will continue to talk about Solid from an organizational point of view and delve deeper into the scope of the use cases in which Solid can be used and the potential roles that an organization can take depending on this scope. Use cases for the Solid standard in organizations typically differ in the way they span over systems that exchange personal data within or across organization borders. When the standard is used internally, the scope of the use cases is the organization itself, and the ecosystem is said to be an internal one. Examples of cases in which Solid can be used internally is to improve interoperability between subsidiaries or systems. When the standard is used across the border of the organization, the use cases have an external scope, and the ecosystem is said to be an external one. In an external Solid ecosystem, organizations can take upon several roles, depending on how they want to position themselves. Organizations can be data producers, data consumers, and/or data custodians. Note that these roles are not mutually exclusive. Data exchange in an external ecosystem is also different from data exchange in an external ecosystem. That is, when data flows across organizational boundaries, it is the user that is in control. Therefore, in the case of external data exchange, it is better to talk about data reuse. This also means that data producers, in fact, enable their users to reuse their data at another party, and that data consumers enable their users to reuse their data from another party at their organization. The role of a data custodian in an external Solid ecosystem entails that the organization takes care of the storage and management of the data. In concrete terms, this means that the organization becomes a pod provider. When two organizations decide to let their users exchange data, that is, one organization becomes a data producer and the other a data consumer, they need a data custodian. For this, there are generally two options. The first option is that the organizations agree to let their users choose an independent data custodian or pod provider. However, in the short term, this option might cause a practical problem. Currently, there are not so many independent pod providers. Luckily, there is also a second option. The data producer also takes upon the role of data custodian. In this case, the data custodian and producer may also choose to curate a list of data consumers and decide to make the contents of the pods read-only. The interactions between data producer, data consumer, and data custodian, together with parameters about the curation of consumers and access rights, are typically called the pod architecture. Note that the data producer may take upon the data custodian role temporarily. Because Solid is a standard meant to make data stores and apps interoperable, the data producer can always decide to use an external party as a custodian for the data later on. Based upon these considerations, you can see that Solid has a potential to be used for both internal and external standardization. So it can function as a way to construct a widely supported, standardized personal data infrastructure. In addition, because interoperability is guaranteed, consortia for external use cases can decide upon roles without having to worry about the long-term implications of a pod architecture.